inventing.
When it comes to attracting an audience, Luke Nola is one of the best in the business. He once sold advertising, now he sells science. From a studio in Auckland, Luke entertains youngsters all over the world. His award-winning show, Let's Get Inventin', is a huge hit. Why? Because the former ad man has done some rebranding.
The thing is with kids, if I was to say to kids once again, hey kids, let's learn about science, I don't know if I'd get an amazing response. When I say to kids, hey, you want to blow something up? You want to put a rocket on a pair of skates? You want to do something cool like make some noise? And science will rate if we pitch it the right way, make it exciting, make it cool, make it rock and roll, and everyone will watch it.
Science, of course, is more than kids' play. Explaining complex issues can often be a real challenge for more mainstream media. And finding pictures or interview talent can be equally daunting. The deadlines are often tight. Opportunities are easily missed. Sometimes science just seems too hard, too scary.
I do think science is very intimidating. There's lots of things that I don't want to get wrong, don't want to print wrong, especially when you've got scientific talk. I don't want to get any of that wrong. So that's a scary thing to do, and is also one of the reasons why I might stay away from a particular story.
There's a lot that we don't know about, and one of the challenges for us as a monthly magazine is that we can't do quick turnaround stories. So if there's a big announcement or a big breakthrough coming up, we need to be brought on board pretty early on in the piece.
Scientists are not used to talking about what they do in ways that people can find immediately relevant to their lives. Quite often the interest that scientists will have in what they're doing when they're talking to other scientists is at a very high level, and it's a very detailed piece of knowledge or discovery they're finding out. But the field that they're working in often has a much broader relevance and is much more interesting to people if they can talk about how we get to where they are today.
Fortunately, New Zealand has a wealth of science stories to celebrate and share. We have an outstanding reputation for research and discovery. Our stories began with names like Ernest Rutherford and Joseph Nathans. They continue today through many respected scientists and new technology entrepreneurs. People like Professor Margaret Brimble, the award-winning New Zealander who's turning toxins into treatments. She's already been honoured with a L'Oreal UNESCO Award for Women in Science.
I enjoy making my molecules that have a potential therapeutic benefit for mankind. Of course, I realise that that's a dream, that I never believed that I would ever make a compound that would go into the clinic, but yet we have done that.
So, where can the media find the news stories? What will they look like? And who's available to explain them? Welcome to the Science Media Centre. It's a one-stop shop for science and the media, a place to discover, download and decipher. When a science story breaks in London or Los Angeles, local reporters can now turn to an independent Kiwi connection for expert guidance and support. Over time, it will grow into a digital treasure trove. The Science Media Centre is an independent business unit managed by the Royal Society of New Zealand, an independent National Academy of Scientists and Science and Technology Societies. Through an open bidding process, the Royal Society was chosen by the Ministry of Research, Science and Technology to set up and run the centre. Even the site's manager is media friendly. Peter Griffin is well known as a technology writer and former New Zealand Herald journalist. Working with Peter is a team of media advisors who have been educated and trained in science and journalism.
It exists to bring together all of the stories, all of the developments about science and technology, and provide it in a readily accessible form to the media. And the media are not just traditional media such as TV and print, but also, for example, to bloggers, and also to provide video clips, for example, to also be on the site. So we have as wide a spectrum of reporting and journalism covered as possible. Similar centres exist in Australia, for example, throughout Europe and the USA. So this is not a new concept, but it is new to New Zealand. This idea of a central repository and a central resource for all things science and technology. You only have to look at what's happening on YouTube, for example, to see how young people in particular are receiving their information on science and technology. So we want to be an exemplar of new science, new technology to communicate the very results of science and technology. And the real importance of this is to have New Zealanders better informed about science and technology, both the advantages and the disadvantages. It's to make sure that New Zealanders are informed so that if there is a need for debate at some later stage, then they have a general background of understanding of the topic at hand.
You may not realise it, but science is in the headlines every day. Global warming, rising food and fuel costs, sustainability. Science helps us understand the problem. Science can help us find the solution. And beyond the headlines, highly skilled researchers and technicians are making advances every day in laboratories around New Zealand. Some of their stories are already being told through specialist science writers.
Science is almost everywhere, and it plays an important role in political decisions. It's an important way of explaining why things happen the way they do, and especially these days when we talk so much about sustainability, climate change, genetic modification, all those things have a very strong scientific aspect to them.
Early feedback from other media confirms strong interest and overwhelming support for a science media centre.
Definitely, if I can just go online, type in something and get a name, some background information, a phone number, that would be great.
I think it'll be a huge asset because it means that it'll be a centralised place for journalists to go to discover new scientific stories and fields of science that perhaps they haven't heard much about before or haven't been interested before.
Come on now! Bring it back now!
It's so much more interesting when you really understand what people are doing, and if you can sort of explain to people why scientists get so excited about the discoveries they're making and tell that story in terms that are kind of relevant to Joe public, then people do get a lot more interested, and I think that there's an awful lot of stories out there that people would like to know more about.